For decades following the Cold War, the United States maintained global stability through a vast network of alliances. American soft power, built on mutual defense treaties, reliable trade agreements, and shared diplomacy, kept the international order spinning. By April 2026, 15 months into Donald Trump's second term, that system fractured. The administration began picking territorial fights with historically peaceful allies, applying direct diplomatic pressure on Denmark over the political status of Greenland. At the same time, the White House bypassed coalition building entirely to launch unilateral interventions, abruptly deploying military forces into Venezuela. But the most severe shift happened on paper. Over a period of just 15 months, the United States actively severed its treaties and formal ties to 66 distinct international organizations. The administration frames this rapid withdrawal as a victory for its America First agenda. But geopolitical gravity dictates that a vacuum will always be filled. Stepping away from the world stage simply leaves an empty seat for rival nations to claim. On April 4, 2026, representatives gathered for the 77th anniversary of NATO. For decades, this coalition formed a heavily armed security umbrella across Europe. President Trump marked the anniversary with a sharp ultimatum. European members must back the United States in the escalating Iran crisis, or America abandons the alliance entirely. That threat splintered transatlantic trust. Knowing they could no longer rely on American defense guarantees, European Union leaders began fast-tracking the construction of an independent, sovereign military infrastructure. This sudden diplomatic instability gave Moscow a strategic opening. Free from a unified Western pushback, Russia accelerated its military posture in Eastern Europe, while positioning itself as a reliable alternative mediator for global conflicts. Using historical military alliances as transactional leverage rarely forces long-term loyalty. Instead, it erodes deterrence and signals to adversaries that the gates are unguarded. 2 months earlier, in February 2026, the administration deployed its parallel economic strategy, designed to forcefully resurrect domestic manufacturing. This chart shows average U.S. import tariffs since the Second World War. Under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, the administration enacted the Liberation Day policy, applying a flat 15% tariff on all trade partners, triggering a massive vertical spike in data. Retaliation was swift. Beijing countered with heavy duties, severing Pacific supply chains. To avoid the crossfire, U.S. trade partners like Germany, Japan, and India rerouted their trade directly into Chinese networks. Blunt force economic isolation effectively quarantined the American market, driving traditional allies to establish permanent trade ties with China to maintain their own economic stability. The military and economic retreats are highly visible, but a quieter withdrawal is taking place inside the rooms where global rules are written. The United States has vacated its leadership seats at organizations like the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and dozens of other standard-setting forums. Without American delegates to challenge their proposals or veto their initiatives, Chinese representatives are systematically assuming those vacated committee chairs and actively drafting the global regulations for the coming decades. This diplomatic cover translates directly into physical expansion. Secure in the knowledge that international bodies will offer little resistance, China has accelerated its use of water cannons and naval blockades to tighten its grip over the South China Sea and the wider Indo-Pacific region. Yielding a seat of leadership allows a primary rival to dictate the global agenda and codify their own standards into the international order. Critics frequently allege that these policies are the result of foreign collusion. However, official investigations have yielded no evidence that the administration is working on behalf of an outside power. The actual driver is ideological rationalism. The administration operates on the strict belief that the current international system exists solely to drain American resources and exploit its wealth. The flaw in this logic is that the system they are dismantling is the exact source of American leverage. By tearing down decades of alliances, the United States is intentionally stripping away the soft power that secured its status as the lone global superpower. 15 months of aggressive isolation have burned through diplomatic credibility that will take decades of intense negotiation to reconstruct, if it can be rebuilt at all. The true consequence of the America First agenda is a United States cordoned off from its own allies. By stepping out of the geopolitical arena, America is actively laying the groundwork for a global system managed by Moscow and Beijing, a reality that future elections may lack the power to undo.